Hi guys, in this video I'm going to be reading my Duke supplements that got me into Duke. I'm planning on doing my Common App essay in a separate video, so let me know if you want to see that. So here it goes. The first prompt was, what is your sense of Duke as a university and a community, and why do you consider it a good match for you? If there's something in particular about our offerings that attracts you, feel free to share that as well. So I wrote, first of all, happy 100th birthday, Duke. The generosity behind Duke's emphasis on interdisciplinary studies captivates me. Science, if used properly, is our greatest tool. From addressing social justice with environmental research to making small molecules to suppress COVID-19 proliferation, my work has taught me that we must understand the challenges people face before we can use science to create change. As a STEM student, I will participate in Duke Engage, immersing myself in a small community, learning about issues that exist, and creating real change in that community using science, all while continuing my own journey of self-discovery. In addition, as a member of the Science and the Public Focus Cluster, I will dive deep into the interdisciplinary applications of science, studying its deeply human nature. Specifically, the course on the Feldenkrais method intrigues me because it explores movement and body awareness, which is a crucial practice in musician ergonomics. Outside of class, I will explore a colorful set of orchestral repertoire with the Duke Symphony Orchestra, bring music to the Baldwin Auditorium, and I'd love to flunch cello instructor Miss Stephanie Aspinwall and ask her about her inspirations while writing her fascinating book about musical phrasing. On the weekends, you'll find me relaxing in the egg chairs in the Murphy Nimitz Meditation Garden, expanding my global awareness by reading books in the Nicholas Family International Reading Room, or simply smiling while watching the sunset on the Granger Hall rooftop. The second essay is, we believe a wide range of viewpoints, beliefs, and lived experiences are essential to making Duke a vibrant and meaningful living and learning community. Feel free to share with us anything in this context that might help us better understand you and what you might bring to our community. I hugged my grandparents goodbye. Throughout my childhood in Shanghai, my parents and I lived right across the street from my grandparents. We came together for dinner every evening, watching documentaries after saving Grandma's homemade meal. While boarding the plane, my family's one-way ticket to America, I realized I was not going to smell the sweetness of Grandma's sun-dried bedsheets or play chess with Grandpa for many months. As a 10-year-old, change was saddening, but change was also exciting. 2 years after moving to California, my parents and I returned to visit Shanghai. Growing up, I loved exploring the vibrant streets, food stands, antique shops, and artisans selling handcrafted wooden figurines next to my home. On this trip, however, the clustered fabric shops were converted into a pristine movie theater. The shops that sold cheap press-on nails became one more outpost of a global retail chain. I miss the smells of porcelain and paper. I will contribute to Duke my understanding of change. Change is sneaky, muted as it occurs but deafening upon completion. It's beautiful yet haunting, but isn't this what defines life? I now adore California's sun-drenched landscape and zany people, with the Shanghai I knew still living in my fondest memories. Thanks to change, my grandparents call me every week on a phone they didn't own 10 years ago. While I embrace the change around me, I never cease to chase after the question, what change, big or small, am I going to create today? Okay, and then the last essay was, tell us about an experience in the past year or two that reflects your imagination, creativity, or intellect. After we TLC the column fractions, we rotovap down the product and dissolve it in chloroform D for NMR. In my first weeks conducting organic chemistry research at the Aspiring Scholars Directed Research Program, it is as if people there spoke a cryptic dialect as yet foreign to me. I persisted in the face of a steep learning curve, snapping up all the education opportunities the lab offered. Attended the weekly Orgo crash course to learn how to error push mechanisms. I participated in literature clubs, spending hours reading from J. Medchem and Jax before discussions. When I barely understood the papers, I worked them out paragraph by paragraph, soliciting my advisor for clarification. Once I, still awkward with many laboratory techniques, was determined to independently synthesize a molecule to push my project forward. I spent hours watching YouTube videos on how to set up reflux, when to use a Schlenk line, and what nitrogen balloons do. Many tutorials had distracting background noise, the norm in a lab, with apparatus slightly different from the ones I used at ASDRP. However, with each video, I consolidated information by drawing diagrams on paper to illustrate how the complicated reaction setup should look. As my understanding solidified, I discovered the power of using every resource I could access. The day I confidently approached the fume hood and ran this reaction successfully bore witness to the countless molecules I made and the more refined questions and idea generation I articulated in the arcane language of science. Okay, so that was all 3 essays that I submitted to Duke. Now, if I remember correctly, Duke was one of the schools that had a bunch of prompts that you can choose from, and 3 was like the maximum number of essays that you could write. So that's just what I did. I just picked the 3 prompts that I feel like I could answer best, and to be honest, I also picked these prompts based on the essays that I had already written and like what I could reuse for Duke. If you want a video on just general college app advice or just general essay advice, I'd love to make one. For me, I feel like my college application process was just very smooth because I started it very early. I started just right when junior year ended, and I worked on a bunch of essays throughout summer. So first semester of senior year just was not that stressful for me. I feel like having a clear timeline of when you want to get stuff done is very important because you really don't want to save like 20 college essays in like for December. Like that's just very stressful, I think. Yeah, hope you enjoy this video. Bye.